meow. Welcome to the PodKat. I'm in my pod. This is me, Kat. I'm coming to you on Monday, March 23rd, and the question that I'd love to hear from the audience to respond with is, what is your comfort movie? I'm just going to go ahead and hop right in and introduce my very hilarious and genuine good friend, Vidya. Hey, girl.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Staying sane throughout everything.
Good. Who are you and where are you?
I am... That is life's existential question, isn't it? Who am I? I am human. I do not currently have corona, and I am self-quarantined.
Okay, cool.
And I am in Denver, Colorado.
You said you're self-quarantined. Is that a choice?
Yeah, well, I work in online advertising, so my company mandated that everyone work from home since last week. Indefinitely, we're working from home until, I'm not sure, maybe when we find a vaccine, maybe when the number of cases stops growing exponentially like it has been. But recently, I think a few hours ago, it was recently stated that the county of Denver is under, I'm not sure what it, I'm sorry, I totally forgot what the name of that thing is.
Is it Jefferson County that you're in?
No, not Jefferson County, in Denver.
Oh, okay.
Thing is, it's not really so. It's like you're quarantined except if you want to go to, so it's a stay-at-home order, essentially.
Okay. So y'all are not at shelter in place yet?
We are at shelter in place. Well,
okay.
It's kind of a lighter version of shelter in place so far, I guess. It is essentially a stay-at-home order, but we can still get food delivered. We can go. Parks are still open. We can go for medicine, for the grocery store. We can go check on parents if you want to.
Sure.
And this starts tomorrow at 5 a.m. Mountain Time.
So non-essential businesses are closed down. Restaurants have to go to takeout, that sort of a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I heard, and this is just hearsay, but my wife told me yesterday that she had heard parks in Los Angeles were being closed down because people are not taking it seriously, and it's nice to get outside and go for a run, but that people are crowding up the public parks and trails. So she said that she had heard of trails in Los Angeles County closing down.
Oh, man.
So I don't know if that's a national thing, but definitely still go outside, be safe. I was out on my run this morning, and I still try to wave at people from a distance and say hello as I run past. But I was also this is like a zombie obstacle course. As I ran, I was like, do like a video game. But I'm staying very far away from anybody and just going out for a run. And then other than that, it is in the home for me.
Yeah, pretty much. I have been taking morning walks with my boyfriend Preston. We go out in the morning. We're out kind of for about an hour. It's usually not too crowded. Then either we leave at 7 a.m. and then we come home by 8, and then we just spend the rest of our time at home.
So you're both working from home now, or you both are quarantined. You don't have to go out other than to get groceries. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Do you have any snapshot of what it's been like there if you have gone out for groceries? Do you know if the stores are crowded or if supplies have come back to the stores?
It's weird because there's quite a lot of food, but most of a certain type of food is missing. All of the frozen goods are missing. All the canned goods are missing. No toilet paper, that's normal. All those. You still have a lot of candy, though. I'm surprised. That would be the first thing that I go for. I'd be fat at the end of this, but at least I'd still be.
Yeah, everyone says they're putting on the quarantine 15, but I think there must be an excess of candy right now because of companies preparing for Easter. So maybe that's why there's so much, like the Valentine's / Easter extra candy that seems to appear.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. Either way, I'm not mad because that just means there's more candy for me. But sorry, that sounds very selfish. But
No,
sugar is my vice.
Oh, girl, yes, that is totally my my drug. I love candy and sugar.
Oh.
I have to, like, sometimes, like, instead of ice cream, I'm like, have a bowl of cereal and pretend it's ice cream. But I'm like, well, cereal's still pretty sugary, but...
Yeah, it's not the same, though. It's not that creamy, cold goodness. Sorry, I'm not helping.
Oh, it is good. What's your favorite sweet?
Ooh. Like, what, candy? Or, like, or any dessert?
Yeah, if I could have one dessert, it would be something warm with something cold. So, like, a warm, gooey cinnamon roll with ice cream on top. Like, I love that mix.
Ooh, nice. I always go for a good milkshake. Milkshakes are usually where it's at for me. I always crave milkshake.
What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Ooh, I love anything that has a chocolate base. Chocolate peanut butter is also a really good one.
Oh, you know what's so good is Jamba Juice has that chocolate peanut butter mood. It's like smoothie place, and I'm like, I'll have the ice cream, please.
Yeah,
but that one is
like,
so good.
It's supposed to be, I think, like more of the decadent treats in Jamba Juice, and supposed to be like, you feel healthy going to Jamba Juice, but then you order the peanut butter mood and everything's out the window.
Yeah, I do peanut butter mood, or if it's October, I do that pumpkin smash one that they do. Since I don't drink coffee, so I don't get the joy of a pumpkin spice latte. I have to get my pumpkin smash Jamba Juice.
Oh man, do you remember like the pumpkin milkshakes at Gunther Tootie's?
Oh yeah, Gunther Tootie's had good milkshakes. I like, there's a place in Idaho Springs, Tommy Knockers, that has really good malts. So, like a caramel malt was nice. But I like any ice cream that's green. So I'm not crazy about mint, but the, like, mint chocolate chip that's green I love. Or, like, pistachio. Something about a green milkshake makes me really happy. Those are good. What's your favorite kind of candy bar?
A candy bar would be the Twix, probably. Twix followed by Snickers.
I always like Three Musketeers. I don't like nuts, so I like the ones that are not very nut heavy. But yeah, Twix is good.
Yeah.
Let me turn off my phone. My sister's texting me now. Her boyfriend just drew a picture of her, and she says, "Isn't quarantine fun?"
There is something to be said about spending quarantine with a loved one, though.
Yeah, I was thinking about how sad that would be if people had, like, just started dating and then, like, they're now separated, and I'm like, everyone is forced into their own Love is Blind pod where they're, dating from a distance. But I was like, I'm so grateful that I live with my honey and that I get to have that be my bright spot.
I know. I was just talking about that, Preston, today, because we moved in together in February. So if we had been a little bit later, I don't think this would have happened.
Yeah, it's such a comfort right now to have your bunker buddy.
Yeah, it is, and it was one of those, like, not gonna lie, I was slightly nervous, I'm like, oh man, we just moved in together.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna be seeing a whole lot of each other and stuff, but it's actually been pretty great, and turns out that I love him more and more each day.
What's your advice for moving in for the first time and like getting along as far as respecting boundaries? I think it is odd. I mean, even if just moving in with a new roommate.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, for the most part, I think I can't speak for him. The part that I was most nervous about was kind of how we would handle chores and stuff. But we we didn't really have much of a discussion about it. It was just kind of, if he's free, he would load the dishwasher, and if I was free, I would unload it. If he was free, he'd load the washer, and if I was free, I'd do it. Like, it just essentially became whoever's free, just do it. And I don't know, there's kind of no pressure, and both of us are kind of like, oh, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm just going to do this. And I think, like, one of his love languages is acts of service. So he likes to kind of do stuff like, I've come back from work once and my laundry was all like folded for me and stuff. And it kind of makes you love the person more, when they do things like that for you. Kind of encourages me to step up too and do stuff.
Acts of service is like really super helpful to have when you've had like a stressful day, if your loved one does that for you. But it also, it makes me think of, in premarital counseling, my wife and I discussed with our therapist, like thinking about doing chores and as like a gift to your loved one, and not thinking, and because if you do it like retroactively where you're like, well, there's all this needs to be done and I'm resenting the person that I have to do it, instead of proactively being like, I'm going to get up and make that person's life better today. So that's like a really healthy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was something that when I lived on my own, it never really crossed my mind. But because he kind of acts from that perspective, it's kind of inspired me to take that on as well. And it is one of the, it is one of those things that made me love him even more after moving in with him.
Oh, I love that. I think the thing that my spouse and I discussed at the beginning of this year was, it's nice to have that attitude of like, what can I do for my person today? But it's good to follow it up with a thank you. We each have chores that we kind of have fallen into, that I really like checking the mail, and I tend to do a lot of sweeping. She does a lot of the cooking, and, we kind of fall into these things that we're better at. But I think it became really apparent that like, oh, I just took it for granted that she was cooking, or she took whatever I was doing for granted. So like, we don't mind doing the chore for their person, but it is nice to be like, oh baby, you did the dishes, thank you so much. So like, even if someone does that chore all day, every day, like still remembering to be like, thank you for making the food. I know you always make the food, but thank you for this meal. Like, acknowledging it goes a long way to be like, oh, they saw the thing that I did and it meant something to them. So that was helpful for us to have to call ourselves out on.
Yeah. That's very important too, to like thank each other for all the good that you're doing. Yeah,
I'm glad you guys are really in your crash course of living together, and that it's going well, and that you're happy, because I love you. So that makes me happy.
Thank you, kitty cat. I really appreciate that.
No, I'm so happy. I think that's really fun. I love that you've got a good bunker buddy right now. And the big thing I wanted to talk to you on today's podcast about was being away from your family. So your family is, you are an international person. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure, yes. I am of Indian ancestry. I was born in Malaysia, though, grew up there, always had family in America. It took us about 11 years to get our green card, and after that, I moved to Colorado for college, and I've been here ever since. And in my spare time, I love to travel around the globe. So I've grown up with both Eastern and Western influences. So I don't know, sometimes I can provide an interesting perspective. I would like to think so, but
I love hearing about your travel. I think it's interesting, but I also didn't know much at all about Malaysia before meeting you, so it's been really cool to see pictures and to hear about it. It's such a different perspective than your own, my own.
Yeah, it's very different over there compared to here.
Well, I'm probably vice versa. We probably are weird to them. So there's crazy stuff we do. My sister-in-law lives in the UK, and when she came to visit, I mean, she's born in America and she's always lived here, but now that she's been there for quite a while, she came back to visit and she was like, "You guys use so much ice. I can't believe how much ice Americans use." And I was like she took a picture to send her friends back in the UK. She was like, "There's so much ice." So it's those kind of funny differences that make the world interesting and unique. But I wanted to ask you about, so you came in college with your mother to Colorado, but you were away from your father and a lot of your other family. A lot of people right now are experiencing being apart from their family, even if they're in the same state where they can't go see their family. Do you want to talk about kind of maintaining a relationship from a distance?
Yeah, it can be super hard, but, you know, I think it's important to let your loved ones know that you miss them and that you are thinking about them, because at the end of the day, we can't read each other's minds, and it's always nice and comforting to know how your loved ones feel. It's also really nice to share, too. My family and I, since, you know, we're international, we use WhatsApp quite a bit, because that allows us to text internationally. It doesn't cost us anything. We just need Wi-Fi.
I loved WhatsApp when I went to a wedding last summer in the former Czech Republic. I think it's now referred to as Czechia. But when I was over there, I was like, oh my gosh, so grateful to rely on WhatsApp in order to check back with my spouse in the States when I had like questions like, why did my credit card just get shut off? So I thought WhatsApp was great.
Yeah, no, WhatsApp is awesome. Yeah, I love using it. I also think it's actually pretty great for sending multimedia messages. A lot better than text message, but it's just a preference on my end.
Do you know what Malaysia's response has been to the pandemic, or any thoughts from your family on what they're going through?
They're not necessarily happy with the way things are being conducted in Malaysia. Things have been escalating quickly over there, and they recently, I think they had like the movement control order, so they can't really do interstate travel. They can only be out and about if they need to go for, you know, emergency supplies, grocery store, stuff like that. But a lot of Malaysians don't want to listen, and they don't want to stay in, so they kind of go out, and people keep getting sick.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Sounds like the U.S. right now.
Yes, I think a lot of places people are getting like cabin fever, and like, I can't keep doing this. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where like just gotta hunker down for a little bit. It'll be over soon enough, and then we don't have to do it again for a while.
That's the hope. My one of my guests, Nova, pointed me to a resource which was the coronavirus dashboard. It's ncov2019.live, and that's just facts of like quick facts: total confirmed cases, total deceased, total recovered, and then it breaks it down by country. And as of right now, which is 5/11 California time, there's 173 of 195 countries infected. But I've been looking at like South Korea has had an amazing response, and Nova was telling me about that. She's a microbiology student, and she is concerned now with she's in graduate school for health, global health, and her focus was kind of like climate change specific, but she knows a lot about medical things. And she was saying that South Korea has had a really amazing response to taking it seriously, and I've been watching their numbers, and they are not like they're really holding steady as far as like new cases, and they have. It's been impressing me, different countries that are responding well, and then also looking at our own United States, which is not responding great. And looking at that number of people infected climbing. But also in the United States, I'm hearing about people someone very close to us right now potentially has it, but they can't get tested. And so they're just on quarantined right now. And so, like, it's hard to know the actual numbers because people can't get tested, as well as asymptomatic people. So I was interested in how different countries are responding.
Yeah, it is. I think it's also a matter of how a country views its government and whether they trust them or not, which kind of makes it will definitely impact by how smooth of a transition process it is, to implement all the different strategies to combat corona and stuff. And I know, like, in America, sometimes part of it is kind of like, we don't want the federal government. That's why we have states' rights, So I think that if you don't have the best relationship with your government to begin with, it can be a little hard to take them seriously. I know in Malaysia, they don't have a great relationship with the government at all. And so they don't necessarily want to follow what they've been told to do, even though it is for their own good. That is a completely different issue to begin with, the relationship between people and government. That is a whole different topic on its own, and something that we do not have a cure for right away. Probably find a cure for corona before that. But I do think that also kind of impacts how well countries can implement strategies.
Sure, yeah, that's a totally valid point. Having traveled so much yourself, do you feel like that gives you a sense of caring more about the world, as far as it's hard to know what else is going on when you've never left your own area? But I think going to different places can give a sense that, like, hey, these are normal people also eating McDonald's, and they're real. They're not just numbers across the pond from us.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough that, my mom's side of the family, all of my cousins are biracial. I'm the only one that's, like, purely Indian. So I always grew up with kind of a multicultural background. And I have the luxury of kind of viewing people as people. Like that background helped me kind of grow up just knowing that people are people. And it's just a matter of, we just have different cultures, we have different backgrounds, and as long as you learn to respect it and, I don't know, kind of like learn it, understand it, and respect it, it can be super fun, though. Like, it is a great topic of conversation to have with other people, just to learn about their cultures and stuff. I feel like, Miss Kitty Cat, as a fellow extrovert, you love having your topics of conversation with people. I think that, like, even coming from different states, we have all kinds of stories that we can share, and let alone, like, from different countries. There's kind of eons to talk about, like, food or culture, or, what's popular there, or even, like, sharing music.
Yeah, on the topic of sharing music, I wanted to ask you today's question, which is kind of, what's a comfort movie for you? You and your mom are so cute. I love you guys go to the movies all the time, and that's always been one of my favorite things, is how much you guys love the movies. So what are movies that you find comforting?
Most of the time, I feel like the feeling of nostalgia is similar to comfort. Mm-hmm. So I end up watching a lot of Disney movies. I think it was just like a few days ago, I was like, I just feel like watching The Little Mermaid, and then I put it on. Yeah. And started singing along to, like, talking to Preston about how Kiss the Girl is one of the most underrated songs in The Little Mermaid, because everyone's all about under the sea and part of your world. I'm like, Kiss the Girl's where it's at. And I think he was looking at me like, are you seriously trying to have an intellectual conversation about Disney movies?
Hey, Disney's serious. And now that Disney Plus is out, there's so much access to be able to relive those childhood ones. I've been watching a lot of BoJack Horseman, which is hilarious, but really heavy. So to take a break,
Oh, yeah.
I found Disney Plus now has Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers episodes from
God.
89 and 90. So I watched some of that and was just like, wow, it is Saturday morning and I am 6 years old. So.
They have, I think, the new, old X-Men cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
My brother liked that. My brother really liked Darkwing Duck. And then there was like Bobby's World. There was that Gargoyle show that was kind of scary.
Yeah.
We didn't watch too much television like past like Saturday mornings. It was like Saturday mornings you could watch something. I really liked Biker Mice from Mars. I don't think anyone's ever heard of that show, but I really liked it. And then Darkwing Duck, I think, was my brother's favorite. Or like Pinky and the Brain was funny. I liked that.
Yeah, Pinky and the Brain was Animaniacs too.
The Animaniacs are my problem. I find them so insufferable. I think Wacko's Wish personally traumatized me, but what bothers me is like chase cartoons, so like Tom and Jerry, like Roadrunner, that sort of thing, where they're just like spending the whole time like trying to catch the mouse, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that sort of repetitive. That's why I was kind of surprised rewatching Chip and Dale the other day. I was like, this is a really complex storyline. Like I was surprised by how many places the first episode went. I was like, oh my gosh, this has levels. And I know like nowadays Adventure Time and Steven Universe and those sorts of shows are more than just at a kid's level. Like a lot of cartoons are for the whole family to get something out of, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like, I mean, not to revert back to Disney, but that's kind of why Disney was so popular. It there was something in it for everyone. Mm-hmm. And I personally think that we should have more content like that.
Yeah, well, and not to take the Animaniacs from you, I'm glad that you had them. I personally, I was like, they're always misbehaving. I don't like misbehaving characters. I was always like, these kids are out of control.
No, they're pretty naughty.
But maybe that was just my innate need for everyone to be a good kid. But yeah, my favorite Disney is definitely Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin. Huge fans of those animated features.
Yes. I was really looking forward to seeing the new live-action Mulan. And now with Corona and stuff, it's like, oh no. Yeah. I'm curious if they'll release it on Disney Plus if this keeps going on.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about stuff that's being put on to streaming instead, or I'm wondering about like if a more independent movie was going to be in theaters, if they could strike up a deal and have it on someone streaming and at least recoup some of their money, or if they'll just wait and release it later.
Yeah, I'm curious. Oh gosh, that Hunt movie, that movie just has terrible luck at this point.
Yeah.
And they could finally release it. It's like, oh, nope. Like, I think AMC's shut down and Regal Cinemas shut down as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I, like you, love to be in the movie theater. Like, there's something really communal about going and seeing the movie with more people. It is hard when you're watching it on your own laptop. But I know right now a lot of people are doing, like, watch parties where they're all streaming the same movie at the same time and Skyping or like screen sharing. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a fun idea.
My poor wife just wants to watch the movie, and I always want to like talk, and so she probably would not like a watch movie. I don't want to talk if I've not seen it before, but if it's something I've seen before, like when I rewatch Nightmare Before Christmas every October, she's so patient. I'm like, baby, is it okay if I sing every single word? And she's like, go off, girl. So she lets me do that. But sometimes when we're watching like RuPaul's Drag Race, she's like, just pause if you need to, rip this queen to shreds or sing her praises. But I can't watch her runway walk while you are talking. And I'm like, okay, I know.
Yeah, that's true. It is something they take for, like, it's one of those things that it's fun to introduce someone to something that we've watched, just to watch their reaction. But then because we're not as mindful to the fact that, this is their first time watching it, and we're kind of talking to them like, let's have a discussion.
Yeah, I think I put too much pressure on, like, when we watched Streetcar Named Desire is, like, really important to me. Cabaret is really important to me. And I feel like you're, like, watching the person, like, what's your feedback? This is genius, right? And then they're kind of like, let me watch it. I remember showing Kim, kind of when we first started dating, I showed her Synecdoche, New York, which is, like, a Charlie Kaufman screenplay of just insanity. It's a complex film. And I remember poor Kim was like, you like this? And I was like, yeah, I know, it's weird. You have to kind of sit with it. What are movies that you will want to share with Preston that are important to you?
We actually have a little notebook of restaurants we want to try, TV shows we want to watch, movies we want to introduce to each other. Right now, I'm trying to get him to watch The Greatest Showman. He's not a musical person.
Okay.
I totally am. And for some reason, being cooped up in the apartment makes me want to sing out loud this song, so I selfishly want to make him watch The Greatest Showman. We recently, I forced him to watch A Star is Born with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
Okay.
And I kind of like looked at him like, hey, what'd you think of the songs, man? What'd you think of the song? And he's like, I just like the Shallow song. And that's
Shallow
it. And
song.
I'm like, how dare you?
Yeah, musical theater is very specific taste, but I'm here for it.
Yes, it is a very specific taste. I wanted him to watch Kubo and the Two Strings, just because he's fascinated by Japanese culture. And also it's like a studio, so, usually it's a good time.
The animation of that alone makes it, like, the big ship that they set sail on is, like, all individual leaves that they 3D printed and put on there. And the work that goes into, Leica Studios does all the, as you know, stop motion animation. And I'm just like, I don't even care what the plot is about. I just am, like, so, like, swoon when I watch stop motion animation, because I respect the work so much.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, like, it is one of those things that I feel like Leica is a very niche audience. Like, only certain people enjoy, kind of go like, oh, man, the new Leica movie's coming out. It's not like, oh, my God, there's a new Marvel movie coming out soon, It's kind of like the Studio Ghibli films as well, but though I think Studio Ghibli has more of a fan base than Leica.
Oh yeah, people are very cult followy about that stuff. We did watch My Neighbor Totoro for the first time a few years back, but I wasn't. I think that was the second one I've seen from them outside of Princess Mononoke. But I've heard that Kiki's Delivery Service is supposed to be, like, really adorable. So I'll look into that one.
Yeah, that's also been something that throughout this quarantine, Preston's been introducing me to anime. So we finished watching Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay.
And he has another list lined up. We also have a little tap for anime and recently trashy television. Because that seems to be our new... Because we both talk throughout the trashy shows. Because one must discuss what we are watching. Yeah,
you have to have your faves. You have to have your villains. And, reality gets very, like... It's a communal thing. But you guys just need an anime musical to get into that you both can love.
Well, we did watch Fooly Cooley, which is somewhat, well, it's music-centric, but it's not necessarily a musical. Yeah, I wonder, I actually have to ask him that. Like, do you have an anime musical we can watch?
You know what's maybe not anime, but animated and musical is Over the Garden Wall, the greatest show ever. It's so cute. It's on, you can go to cartoonnetwork.com and watch all the episodes, and they might be on Netflix now. I'm not sure about that. They were on for a while. It's 8 or 10 episodes, and they're like 10 minutes each, and we watch it every October, but it is the cutest, funniest, oh my gosh, the voice acting, it's Tim Curry, it's Elijah Wood, it's oh my gosh, great voice actors, and each episode has a song, so Preston doesn't have to worry about too much music, just one song per episode. But the animation is really darling. The animation is very, like, gothic style. It's these two boys who are lost in the woods and just kind of out of time. Like, they're, like, you kind of can't tell what time period it is. And so there's a lot of, like, just bizarre adventures that they're on. But it is, like, you do have to watch each episode in order because they do kind of build upon the one before, but I think any age would enjoy it, and that's my big recommendation. Over the Garden Wall. Patrick McHale, who's involved with Adventure Time, wrote this, and it's something someone recommended to me like 5 years back at a Halloween party, and it's been part of our October tradition now every year. Highly recommend. Well, I will not use up too much more of your time. I was going to ask, I think we kind of talked it over, but are there any recommendations that you want people to know about in quarantine right now if they're trying to stay busy, TV shows or books or something that you enjoy?
I would say that this is probably a really good time to call people that you've been meaning to call.
True.
I think, like, especially because right now it's like we're not necessarily commuting as much, which I know, like, sometimes a big part of our day is spent on commuting to work and stuff. So I would say call a loved one. I hope you're lucky enough to be with a loved one throughout this quarantine. If not, a phone call will do, or like WhatsApp someone or text someone you love. I mean, trashy TV is one way to go. But right now, I just introduced Preston to 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, I've not seen it, but I've heard of this.
Yes, it is purely trash TV.
Yeah, that stuff is kind of funny to watch now, because I'm like, I mean, even watching like, I don't know, a YouTube vlog from a few weeks ago, I'm like, look at them in the grocery store having food and touching surfaces without fear and hugging each other. But watching, like, Love is Blind or The Circle or anything where they're, like, in their own pod, I'm like, yeah, relatable. So, well, do you have any person that you think I should talk to next that would be interesting to hear their experience right now?
Actually, like, you were talking about someone who probably just started dating and now you have to be, like, at a stay-at-home quarantine or something like that. That would be an interesting conversation to have.
Because, I mean, there's, like, people who are affected in huge ways right now. Economic, financial hardships and this and that. But I'm thinking of, like, imagine being, like, a high schooler and you, like, just got asked to prom or something. And then you're suddenly like, oh, like, what's happening with that? And then, yeah, just like the littler stories, kind of the B-roll footage right now of, like, yeah, you just met somebody, maybe you've had 3 dates, and then now you're, like, both quarantined, and it's like, yeah, that would be quite a perspective right now.
Yeah, something a little different. Maybe it could turn out to be super cute.
Yeah, totally. There could be, I was listening to a live stream of Mamrie Hart, Grace Helbig, and Hannah Hart, and they were talking about someone they knew who had filed for divorce papers, and then 5 days later they both were stuck in quarantine, and they were like, I kind of hope that they fall back in love and that this brings them together and that they write a really cute romantic comedy. And I was like, yeah, there could be a lot of meet cutes with this, of you know, you guys bump into each other. You both were reaching for the last toilet paper, and then you give each other hand sanitizer and stay in contact and start a love story from this.
Oh man. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the best screenplays are being written right now.
Yeah. It'll be interesting what art comes out of this. Well, I love you, and I thank everyone who listened to this, and we're in it together, you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy. I appreciate you all. Vidya, would you like to have the last meow of the episode?
Meow.